Data and Digital Day of UN 2.0 week. I'm excited to see so many people are joining, and we've got a few people streaming online as well. So a huge welcome to the event. While we wait for everyone to join, I'd love to know in the chat where some people are joining from. So if you can include your location, you can include your organization, and we'll see who's representing us from around the world. Coming in now. All right. Now, before we begin, I'll always say flag. There's a reaction button right at the bottom of the screen. So can you give me a reaction if you've joined any other events for UN 2.0 week? Yeah, I can see a few people have joined some events. That's nice to see. How about those that are joining their first ever event for UN 2.0 week this week? Any reactions from those people? Okay, great. Okay, very nice. So we've got a few people that are excited to be part of this event today, as we are as well. So we have a packed agenda today. So perhaps we get started. My name is Lauren Phillips, and I'm the Deputy Chief of UN System Affairs in the United Nations Volunteers Program. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to this event on UN careers in data and digital transformation. This event is co-led by the One UN Talent Group, and today we are represented by the UN Secretariat, UNEP, WFP, FAO, and UNV. And I want to acknowledge these partners for this system-wide collaboration today. So today we are at the halfway mark of the second ever UN 2.0 week. So far this week, we have heard many inspiring stories about how the United Nations is embracing the skills, tools, systems, and culture of the future. But what is behind each of these stories? People. So it seems timely that for the next 50 minutes or so, we get to put a spotlight on 4 remarkable people behind some of these inspiring stories. We'll get to hear about their work and learn more about the career paths that have led them here. We'll also see how UN 2.0 skills are truly intergenerational and relevant at every stage of our professional journey. So these speakers are Polina Karolova, Associate Data Scientist in the Office of the Chief Digital Officer in UNEP. Avishan Bujanid, Chief of Information Management Unit in DPPA DPO. Henry van Bergsteden, the Senior Innovation Officer and Head of the Digital Agriculture Unit in FAO. And Diana Klein, the Data Strategy and Data Governance Lead in WFP. But first, a note on the logistics. We have a Q&A and chat function, so please place your questions there and we'll try to respond to as many as possible as the session progresses, and then after, especially when the speakers have finished their intervention. I also encourage you to use that reaction button throughout the event. So whenever you hear an idea that resonates or a story that inspires you, I invite you to give a thumbs up, a heart, or some applause. But first, to officially set the scene, I'm delighted to introduce Jennifer Stanzel, Chief of the Staffing Diversity and Outreach Section in the Global Office of Human Resources in the UN Secretariat. Jennifer, over to you for some opening remarks.
Thank you so much, Lauren, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. It's an absolute privilege to be here with you today. As Lauren was saying, I'm the Chief of the Staffing Diversity and Outreach Section in our Global Office of Human Resources in the Secretariat. And on behalf of that office and the whole Secretariat, a warm welcome. This week, we are celebrating innovation, foresight, transformation across the UN. And I think we also need to be reminded we're living through extraordinary times, marked by complexity, disruption, global suffering, and some unprecedented global challenges. And within those challenges also lie opportunities to really reaffirm and underpin the values that the UN stands for, from human and planetary flourishing, and really reimagining the UN and how we as a workforce also must evolve. So to really truly deliver for the 21st century challenges, we must transform the way we work, the way we lead, and the way we serve. And this UN 2.0 vision is our collective response to this new reality. It's about embedding data-driven and decision-making, digital transformation, behavioral science, and strategic foresight into the way we operate and to everything that we do. And that transformation starts with people like our excellent panelists today, but also people like you, everyone that is joining us on this call and in this conversation today. We need data and digital transformation to help us shape the future or the current, not just the future, but right now and the future of the UN. And we need bold thinking. I hope this session inspires you to see how you can contribute to this transformational journey and how we can work together to build a more diverse, purpose-driven, data-informed, and impactful UN. And I think the one thing that's true, this path forward requires all of us, our leadership, our collaboration, and our shared passion and purpose for building a better world. Thank you, and I'm excited to hear today's conversation.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for your inspiring words just then, and also for convening this event. I think one of the messages that you said just then that really resonates with me is we need to not just shape the future, but shape the current as well. And I think that's what makes this event so timely. So thank you for that. Now, I'm pleased to introduce our first speaker, Polina from UNEP. So Polina, can you please share a bit about your journey at UNEP? How you transitioned from being a UN volunteer to your current role as a data scientist, and what some of the most exciting and challenging parts of your journey has been. Thanks.
Thank you, Lauren. Good afternoon, everyone from Nairobi. Thanks for joining, and thanks for the opportunity to share my story. So I joined UNEP 4 years ago as a UN volunteer in the newly launched Digital Transformation Subprogram. And I had a background in both data science and environmental science. And before joining UNEP, I was doing mainly coding and data engineering and data analysis. But in the newly established program, we were looking more into building community, building awareness about digital transformation. And actually, that's what exactly I was looking for, because I was tired of sitting behind the laptop and just doing coding and feeling connection with the people and what is the result of my work. And at UNEP, I could meet more teams, understand how the organization works from inside, what are the needs, digital needs in the organization. So my first years felt like a startup within UN. It was just my supervisor, David Jensen, and I building things from scratch, newsletters, community of practice, digital discovery sessions, establishing partnerships like codes, for example. And through these first years, there were, I think, two big challenges. The first one was the low awareness of why digital matters for the environment. What is the connection there? And the second one was, what do we actually do as a team? I had colleagues asking me, what are you actually transforming? What is this digital transformation doing? So with time, I understood that data scientists here at UNEP are also playing the role of the connectors between technical people and the domain experts and the member states, and being that bridge between different groups is probably the main value add one could add here. And yeah, after 2.5 years in UNE, I transitioned to professional staff as associate data scientist in parallel while the office of the chief digital officer was established. And now I'm reporting directly to the chief digital officer, and it's been a great journey. Yeah, so that's briefly the journey so far.
Yeah, fantastic, Polina. I love that idea of like using digital in your skills to really build community and build connection, as you said. So I'm interested also in what are some of the key projects you're working on? What do you think is the most important about being a data scientist in the UNEP context?
Thank you, Lauren. So there are three main ones that I would like to share about. The first one is the global environmental data strategy. So at UNEP, we are looking at digital as both something that can enable environmental sustainability, but also something that where we have to be aware that there are risks, that we should mitigate the risks that digital can have on the environment. So one of the projects is the global environmental data strategy, where we want to ensure that the environmental data ecosystem is functioning well, that the data is accessible, the data is interoperable, that the data governance uh, is good, and that it's affordable, and there's capacity building in place. For that, we are writing this data strategy now, and for that we needed to consult with more than 200 stakeholders, including member states, private sector, technical experts. So that's a lot of input and wisdom to collect to build a strategy. The second project is environmental impact of AI. It's a very interesting topic, which is still widely understudied. There is a lot of conversation about energy use of the AI, but there is also impact on the water. There are also rare earth minerals, and there is e-waste. So we are trying to look at the impact as a complex problem. And I had an opportunity to co-author UNEP's first AI issues note that was published at last UN General Assembly last year, and it was a great experience also to dive into that topic. And lastly, projects related to partnerships with different stakeholders, such as Coalition for Digital Environmental Sustainability. UNEP is one of the co-champions, and we are working together with stakeholders from different fields, from other UN agencies, private sector, member states, everyone who cares about digital environmental sustainability, and trying to build this global community that can exchange knowledge and work together to ensure that digital is used for the environment, but also doesn't harm the environment. So this is key projects in brief. I think the main takeaway for me, as I mentioned, that this role gives a great opportunity to be this bridge between different types of stakeholders, between scientists, data scientists, policymakers, and having the opportunity to talk to all of these people and convene the conversation and ensure we are all speaking the same language. And yeah, so this is I guess it's my answer.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic. Thank you so much, Paulina. I love the idea that you're working not just for how the digital and data impacts the environment, but how can help improve it as well. So that kind of dual lens, I think, is so important. Thank you very much for that. Now, the next person that I'm going to ask to speak is Avishan. So Avishan, you're with DPPA and DPPO, or DPO rather. And you've had a career that has spanned many types of roles that have mirrored the UN's own data-driven transformation. Can you tell us about your career path, please?
Thank you so much, Lauren. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today, and I'm incredibly honored to join this conversation alongside with such inspiring colleagues who are not just working on data and digital, but as Jennifer said, reimagining what we can all do in the UN system to better help people and planet we serve, aligned with Secretary General's UN 2.0 strategy. So, Lauren, maybe I'll start with a little bit of a personal life reflection. So I grew up in Iran, and it was during the Iran-Iraq War. And it was an 8-year conflict that left deep scars across both nations. And one moment that as a child that stood with me was when the United Nations Security Council adopted the resolution 598. It called for an immediate ceasefire and deployment of UN peacekeepers to help monitor the end of this conflict. So as a child, I very much understood what the UN was doing and how it has impact on people's life. And that's when I realized that I do want to be part of this international body to stop wars and to make sure that no other child ever go through what I witnessed. So from that moment, I knew I wanted to be part of it. So as I was also growing up, I began to see how technology could transcend borders and bridge the gaps and divides between nations. And you won't believe it, but it was a dial-up modem that showed me the magic of connection, how through technology, people from all over the world can connect, share knowledge, exchange ideas, build understanding. And that's when I realized that, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to be in technology and I want to have an impact. So I studied software engineering. And as I was finishing my master's degree, with some curiosity and perhaps a healthy dose of determination, I started my journey as a UN national volunteer in UNDP country office in Tehran in Iran. And then I learned about UN internship at the UN headquarters in New York. So that took me from Tehran to New York to do a UN internship. As I was doing my internship, I learned about a program called the Young Professional Programs. So I took the YPP exam. It's a very competitive exam. But if you're below the age of 32 and your country is underrepresented, I highly recommend you take a look into it. So I took the exam, I passed the exam, and that was the moment of my dream coming true. So my first professional post was, of course, not doing ceasefire negotiations. It was me sitting behind a SQL Server database, writing queries all day long. And this is the time there was no ChatGPT. So I was writing SQL Server stored procedures. But one thing I learned that the codes that I was writing, it's having impact on our colleagues all over the world. So it's creating data-driven reports and insight that is helping our colleagues to make the right decisions, especially during crisis, especially during a security incident. And this realization led me to pivot towards information management and digital transformation. And that's when I joined UN Peacekeeping, Knowledge Management Guidance, Information Management Unit. I worked on situational awareness, and I saw clearly that building secure, ethical, and accessible information system was not just a technical responsibility, but it was really strategic. Because again, as Jennifer highlighted, it really helps us in the UN peace and security pillar to make decisions based on reliable, high quality data and evidence. So today I have the privilege to lead the information management unit of departments of political and peace building affairs and peace operation. My team works at the intersection of data governance, AI, digital innovation and transformation and policy, and helping 35 plus field locations around the world. For those who might not know what field locations do, these are places that there's a conflict, there's an ongoing conflict, or is it in post-conflict setting, to help our colleagues there to leverage data, information, and technology to protect civilians, to support mediation processes, and fulfill the UN Security Council mandate more effectively. So I must say, Lauren, it's been a journey from a dial-up modem to digital transformation and generative AI. But I think the goal for me has always been the same, to use technology and information as a tool for connection, empowerment, and peace.
I mean, fantastic. What a journey, Avishan. And from witnessing and experiencing, the horrors of conflict in your childhood to now supporting communities in 35 different locations around the world that are experiencing that as well. I mean, I think that's an incredibly personal and obviously a passionate element of your story. So thank you for sharing that with us. I'm interested also in if you can share some examples about the data and digital work that you've led more recently as well.
Surely. So in terms of the project that I worked on, I would say there are two that I want to highlight. I must say I'm really proud that I was one of the co-leads of the UN Secretary General's data strategy. And I also help, and I'm currently helping supporting the implementation of the UN 2.0 and align with SG's data strategy throughout peace and security pillar, so that our colleagues in the field use data as a strategic asset, not just a technical afterthought, and also help support our colleagues to fully understand what it means to build a reliable, high-quality data ecosystem, so that we can also promote reliable, high-quality data to then feed into our AI models, so that we have well-governed data that follows the global standards for ethics, privacy, and sustainability to then feed into our artificial intelligence models. So I think that's an area that I've been really passionate about. Another project that also very much is aligned with SG's data strategy and UN 2.0 is my team that is working on the Peace and Security Data Hub. So it's an open data portal, and I would be grateful if colleagues could put the link maybe in the chat. It's the open data platform that consolidates mission-critical data into an accessible space, so that colleagues from all over the world, but also member states and public, can access reliable UN peace and security data. You know, in the world of misinformation, disinformation, there's a lot of information that goes around, and it's really important for us at the UN to ensure that we are the broker of reliable, high-quality UN data. So, and maybe I want to also highlight that with all this project, we've also been supporting with data and AI literacy. So I've been working closely with UNGSC, UN Global Service Center colleagues, to establish a roadmap for an AI literacy, what it means for us at the UN to leverage responsible ethical AI. I'll be talking about that project on Friday, so please feel free to join us to learn more about it. And maybe just one thing for those who are more at the entry-level profession, who are joining the workforce, I want to give you an advice that there will never be a straight path to success. And honestly, there shouldn't be. The journey is just hardly ever linear. So if you stay curious, if you remain resilient, if you embrace failure as a teacher and commit to continuous learning in this rapidly evolving technological landscape, you will not only grow, you will also lead. And maybe in closing, I just want to say that success in this space isn't just having all the answers. It's really about having the mindset to learn and unlearn and be agile, curious, and anti-fragile. Thank you.
Wow, what an inspiring intervention just then. And I feel like particularly your last point then wasn't just advice for careers, but advice for life as well, in terms of if you stay curious, you'll not just grow, but you'll also lead and succeed. So thank you very much for sharing that, Avashan. Now, my next question is for Henry. Henry, in FAO, your office and you are the champions of UN 2.0 and the Quintet of Change. Can you tell us about your office's work and the types of roles and the people supporting your team?
Thank you very much for inviting me to this session. So I've been working in FAO for 20 years and currently serving as Senior Innovation Officer in the Office of Innovation. And I'm leading the Digital Agriculture unit here in the office. And we also have a program priority area on digital agriculture, which is one of the 20 program priority areas that are part of our FAO strategic framework. So here we are based in Rome, where we have our headquarters, and it's really a fabulous city, as you know, very rich in history, culture, and also culinary heritage. And for example, we have the world famous Mediterranean diet, so it's really a nice place to live and work. But also, as many of you know, we host the so-called Rome-based agencies, right? So WFP, IFAD, and FAO. So it's also a very nice place where you can engage with other UN agencies and work on the crossroads of innovation and tradition. And from my side, I really enjoy exploring boundaries of the use of digital solutions for agri-food system transformation and for accelerating the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. And I really believe that digital technologies are a real powerful means to implement this agri-food system transformation that we need. But at the same time, we also need to be very careful to make sure that this is really inclusive. Now, this digital transformation is really inclusive. And there, unfortunately, we're not really on the right track because we see the triple divide is actually widening. So digital, rural, and gender divide is widening. And unfortunately, 2.6 billion people, these are numbers from the latest broadband report, they still do not have access to meaningful connectivity. And this is really hampering also our ability to make this digital transformation a reality for the most vulnerable people. So this is really the challenge that we're facing with our team working on digital agriculture, but also within the Office of Innovation, where we are the champion of the Quintet of Change, to see how we can make sure that with behavioral science, with innovation, with data, and also with foresight, we can actually meaningfully contribute to accelerate this digital transformation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Henry. And I'm interested, I mean, you're talking about that scale of the challenge there, that, digital transformation needs to be inclusive. That was it, 2.6 billion people don't have access to reliable internet or connectivity, which is a huge statistic. From your perspective, how can digital agriculture and innovation help bridge these divides and inequalities, especially in relation to these digital public goods more?
So, I mean, one of the most exciting projects that I'm currently working on with our team is the global network of digital agriculture innovation hubs. So there we try to bring together innovators, policymakers, farmers to co-create solutions that work across diverse contexts. So these hubs, they have been launched in 4 pilot countries, in Dominica, Grenada, Ethiopia, and Morocco, where they try to contribute to fostering inclusive digital agriculture innovation ecosystems that accelerate the transformation of agri-food systems. So one way of doing that is, for example, by making available digital public goods. This could be, for example, data, but it can also be open software, open content. And we do that, for example, through our membership of the Digital Public Goods Alliance. And this alliance is a multi-stakeholder alliance that took up the challenge of digital cooperation from the Secretary General. So we're actively contributing through our membership of the alliance together with our partners to make available these digital public goods and digital public infrastructure as sort of raw material for agripreneurs in the countries that are aware of the local context and that are working with the local communities to support them in providing meaningful digital solutions that try to solve the real issues that people in rural areas are facing. So this is one example that we are using. Another one, which is a very exciting activity that we recently started, is the Digital Agriculture and AI Innovation Dialogue that is now producing the roadmap. And the roadmap is guiding countries in leveraging emerging technologies for smarter, more resilient agri-food systems. And this work also aligns closely with UN careers in data, innovation, and digital transformation. And people that are familiar with our strategic framework know that data, innovation, and technologies are 3 of our core accelerators to work on our strategic framework.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much, Henry. And I love the idea that you're bringing together the innovators, the policymakers, the farmers, and really bridging that from the technology and data, opening that up to make sure that all the solutions that you're helping to deliver are really locally driven. And I think that's a great example of the power and the impact that UN 2.0 can be having in the UN. Thank you for that. Now, the final speaker that I'll ask to present is Diana. So Diana, I'd love to hear about your role, particularly as we know that WFP is mainstreaming innovation right across its work. So can you tell us about how innovation approaches are helping WFP achieve its goals?
Thank you so much, Lauren, for the introduction. And thank you, everybody online and colleagues, for providing me this opportunity to give some insights and perspectives on data and digital transformation in WFP. I've been actually working in WFP for 17 years now in the technology division. I've been fortunate enough to work in both the global HQ, the regional, and country office contexts. So this is where the crux of our data and digital transformation occurs, is how do we bring solutions, innovations, and technology to our frontline operations so that we can provide the most impact for our the people that we assist. So WP makes a profound impact through its mission to combat hunger and improve food security globally. And we do this by providing life-saving assistance to those in need, fostering resilience in vulnerable communities, and really empowering individuals with sustainability in mind. Now, WP is playing a vital role in addressing these challenges, and data and digital are pivotal in achieving these goals. It enables us to optimize our operations, enhance decision-making, and really enable the use of innovation throughout our activities. As an example, WP using data and digital can predict and respond to food crises with greater precision and stretch every single dollar that we receive to achieve the most optimal outcomes. And so this is really, for us, one of the key benefits and advantages of having strong data and digital in WFP. And innovations is actually one of our cornerstones in delivering this, as well as technology. Our innovation is actually how we term it is part of our DNA. It's what we want to use to achieve our goals. And we have a strong innovation network, and our innovation accelerator is one of the core components of how we deliver this in WP. In conjunction, our technology division, who is working very closely with the innovation accelerator to bring technology and AI and innovations together for the organization.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic kind of examples already in terms of what you were saying about bringing solutions to the frontline operations to really maximize that impact and stretch every dollar, which we know is more important than ever these days. So thank you for these thoughts, Diana. I do have another question for you. Looking ahead, how do you think emerging technologies and AI will be used in the future in WFP?
So this is really an exciting area to be in, to be honest with you. Right now, every word almost is focusing on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and emerging technologies such as quantum. And how can WFP and UN organizations harness these technologies and these concepts to bring real world value and impact to what we're doing? And I think that's the key. For WFP, we just launched our AI strategy, our global AI strategy, earlier this year. And it really, similar to what other colleagues have mentioned, it really pivots on key components, including a robust infrastructure to bring the data that's needed for these AI models and emerging technologies, and ability to host them. Additionally, the governance. Really, we need to have the governance to embrace this technology completely. And on the people side, it's ensuring not only that we have the data literacy, but also the culture. Our leadership has made it clear. Artificial intelligence is not just a tool, it's a mindset of how we want to do things differently and how we want to enable change. And so I think this is a really great concept to bring forward, because then you go into, of course, making sure that our workforce is has upskilling potential providing better competencies, stronger competencies in data and digital, and then moving forward, making sure that we have opportunities for our partnerships and together working together to bring those impactful solutions to our operations and to our frontier teams working in our country offices. So this is our let's say, direction and our goals for artificial intelligence. And we also treat emerging technologies the same way. We want to make sure that they're additive and that we can embrace them fully and responsibly. Thank you.
Hey, fantastic. Thank you so much, Diana. I mean, I could listen to you all day there. I particularly liked your point then about people, and it's not just about data literacy, but it's about culture, and that your leadership's mindset or view that AI is not just a tool, but it's a mindset. And I think that's something that we're seeing the UN really embrace. And it's nice to hear from your experiences with the WFP really leading the charge in that regard. And so at this moment, I'm going to pause because we've had the pleasure of hearing from our panelists, but we've also got a lot of questions that have been flooding in. So I encourage everyone to keep posting in the Q&A, and we'll try to get to as many as possible. I think the first question that we'll have is for you, Avashan. So there's a question here about if you can share how are the decisions made about which data is most useful to collect in the conflict-ridden areas? And what are the potential pitfalls of using AI in such sensitive data? And that's a question from Gillian.
Jillian, thank you very much for that excellent question. So in terms of what data is the priority data, as I mentioned, there are 35 plus field locations. These field locations get their mandate from Security Council. You might have a peacekeeping mission, such as UNDOF in Golan Heights, and its role is to monitor ceasefire violations by the parties involved. So the core priority data for the context of that mandate is collecting ceasefire violation data sets. That would be the core data. But then you have a mission such as the mission in South Sudan, and I noticed we have some participants from the mission UNMISS, which is our mission in South Sudan. It has a mandate on protection of civilians. So it's a very different type of mandate. This is a mandate that needs to ensure that the civilians are protected from the horrors of war. And that would be a set of data set that highlights the impact of conflict and war on the population, on the civilians. We monitor the incidents, attacks against civilian, and we look at the trend over time to see how the conflict is now escalating with its impact on the local population. But I also want to highlight that it's also very interesting that it's not just structured data. Satellite imagery is also an amazing data set in areas where peacekeepers, humanitarians might not easily be able to get in to understand how, for example, establishing a local market can help support creating settlements and bringing coexistence. So you can look at satellite imagery over time to see like some of the efforts that our colleagues in civil affairs are doing or having an impact on bringing different entities and colleagues and people together to work together to create coexistence. So there are so many different data sets that we look at depending on the mandate that we receive from Security Council. Your second question is absolutely important. We work with very sensitive data. We worked with information from the beneficiaries that we work with. We work with data from our member states. So it's absolutely important that in this environment, we follow the UN guidelines and rules to ensure that we protect our beneficiaries and our member states' data. So I will post two links to two important policies, I will call it. One is STSGB 2024-3, which is the UN data privacy policy, which is kind of sets the framework around data privacy, what personally identifiable information means to us, how do we protect privacy of our individuals. So that would be one set. It's very detailed. If you have any questions, of course, later on, feel free to find me on LinkedIn and ask for clarification. Another one, STSGB 2007-6, focuses on handling sensitive information, what it means for us to have a strictly confidential information versus confidential versus unclassified versus public, the data that we publicly share with our member states. So I'll be posting those two links for you. These are two very comprehensive frameworks that we have that sets the framework for us as we are also designing the AI systems and beyond to ensure that we protect the privacy and the rights of people we serve. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Avijan. And that's, yeah, possibly the most critical consideration of all, of course. So we're looking forward to receiving that additional information in the chat. We've had a few questions, and Henry, I might ask you to respond to this one. A few about the studies and courses and the kind of qualifications to really inform careers in particular digital areas in the UN. So specifically, there was a question about would you recommend for everyone who wants to continue their career at the UN to complete digital transformation courses? Or shall we focus on AI courses? And what do you recommend? So some advice for the participants today.
Thanks. I think there's a lot of very nice courses available around digital transformation. No? I think if you talk about digital transformation, many people they mix up digitalization, no? And digital transformation. No? So digitization and digital transformation are actually two different things now. So it's really about doing things completely different now. So starting from digital first. So I think conceptually that's very, very important. And I think the Quintet of Change is also speaking to that necessity within the UN system now to do, as the UN Secretary General always says, now do things differently and do different things now and be bold and revolutionary. So we really have to try and do things differently. And therefore, I would definitely encourage, especially young people, to join the UN and to start their career within the UN system to contribute to the Sustainable Development Action Agenda. I think we have to be frank and open that we're not on track for many of the SDGs. So we really need bright people that think out of the box, that are innovative, and that have this capacity now. And many of them they use digital tools already since they're very young. So it's a completely different mindset that we need in order to achieve those goals. And also, I mean, if you talk about especially young people that maybe recently finished their academic careers, we have a FAO internship program, and we have also a volunteer program just to get acquainted with the work that we are doing as an organization and also within the wider UN system. And also we have our FAO Fellows program designed to attract researchers with advanced level of technical knowledge and experience that are relevant for FAO's mandate. And also we have our FAO Young Professionals program. So there's many different ways to engage with FAO, to understand the organization and our mandate. And my colleague is also posting some of the links in the chat, and I also answered a few of the questions in the question and answer section with some links. And feel free to reach out. We're always looking for talent. And I'm very proud also that in our digital agriculture unit, we have currently 2 volunteers and also three interns now that are working with us in our team. And as a whole in FAO, we are currently hosting also 189 interns and 17 volunteers and 47 UN volunteers in various duty stations in the world. So we're very happy and proud to engage with young people in that way, and we're hoping that they are willing also to start a career here in FAO to contribute to our strategic framework.
Thank you so much, Henry. And yeah, it's great to know about the different pathways that people have, you know, regardless of their backgrounds and their skills, to really contribute to FAO's work as well there. Thank you. Now, Paulina, I might actually ask you to share some thoughts on a few of the questions that we've seen coming in, particularly when it talks about the alignment between sustainability and digital transformations, and also about that digitalization process and really engaging stakeholders. So over to you for some of those questions.
Thank you, Lauren. I think Henry covered very well the difference between digitalization and digital transformation. That's yeah, that's not intuitive, to be honest. But yeah, I will not cover it again, but I will move to this question on the alignment between digital transformation and sustainable transformation that are happening. And we just need to make sure that they're aligned, that there is no compromise. Of course, technology is evolving, and whenever it is evolving, we need to ensure we mitigate the risks of it, both on human rights but also on the environment, and that we keep our hand on the pulse and ensure that digital technologies are used for good. And that's exactly what Coalition for Digital Environmental Sustainability is doing. Everyone is welcome to join. It's an open coalition for everyone in the world, both organizations and individuals. I also put the link in the chat. We are trying to look at it as like two big processes that are happening now, and we need to make sure they are aligned. And on the questions from Yuting Fan on how do we ensure that there is a balance between knowledge products that UN is creating, and then we are not talking down to anyone with our recommendations. I think the answer is in that dialogue, to having these conversations early on, to ensure that whatever UN, UNEP in our case is proposing is reflecting the needs of the member states, of people, that we create something that will be used, that is useful, and we co-create it together. And for example, when we are working on the global environmental data strategy, we organized many consultations to hear different voices, because of course, from different parts of the world, the needs are different as well, and we cannot write one document that will solve all the problems, and one pill will not fix that all. And so it's important to keep in mind and continue the conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Polina. I wish it was as easy as one document could solve all the world's problems, but we live in hope, and until then, I certainly appreciate the efforts that UNEP goes to really engage different stakeholders in very different ways, as you've spoken about. So thank you for that. Diana, I might ask you a question that's come up in the Q&A here about the skill sets needed in terms of real digital transformation. So one of the questions is from Daniela, and she says, I think when it comes to digital transformation, we must also cover or consider two aspects: change management to introduce new technologies and measuring impact of those. So what are the skill sets that are needed to go through both those elements of the journey? Thanks, Diana.
Yeah, thank you. And what a great question. In actual fact, what we're realizing now is that you need a broad set of skills to implement the new cohorts of data and digital transformation projects. We tend to think of them as data squads, bringing people together from disparate units together to work on a challenge, and then to really deliver and provide a solution for that. So be it the subject matter experts in the area, the data scientists, data engineers, but also business analysts from our business sponsors, the data analysts from our business sponsors, people who really understand the data, and then also our technology leads who can bring that technology perspective as well. So in actual fact, it really is a squad approach where it is a broad range of people who are directly responsible and also have the knowledge, skills to provide, the needed roles for the project. So it's a great question, and I think it's changing over time. And this is one of the aspects where this is why upskilling is so important, and being able to have training programs so that more people can participate in these squads as we move forward.
Thank you so much, Diana. I love that idea that it's a squad approach, because that's absolutely, I guess, what it feels like in the UN, not just within entities, but across the UN as well. So great to get those insights from you. Thank you. Now, unfortunately, we're almost out of time, so we will need to wrap up now. I have loved learning from our speakers today, so please join me in thanking them for sharing their experiences and for all of their words of wisdom. I think it was fantastic to get those really unique insights. I think it's rare that we have this opportunity to hear from such a esteemed group of speakers, so thank you for that. I also want to thank the One UN Talent Group again for hosting this event. And finally, I want to thank all of you for your engagement and your time, the wonderful reactions that have been coming through, the wonderful questions, and we hope to kind of keep this conversation alive going forward. Now, if you would like to find out more about UN careers in these areas, we've shared some resources in the chat. You can also follow on social media where you'll get the latest information on upcoming opportunities as well. And now we also have a very short survey about this event. So we're always keen to be learning and improving. So we'll have a QR code that will shortly appear on the screen. It's just being shared now, and we really welcome your feedback. It only takes a minute. So if you can, I think we've got the next QR code, and we'll be able to find out or get really some information from you as well about how we can make these events better in the future. And with that, unfortunately, it's time to wrap up. So I'll close this event. But I really want to say we look forward to you joining us as we advance careers in data and digital transformation in the UN in the future. Thank you.